Welcome to the channel. In this video, we will be covering Grade 8 English, Chapter 5, Part 3. The title of the chapter is, The Gold-Legged Frog. We will go through the solved exercises from page 98 to 102, with clear explanations to help you understand every question and answer. Make sure to watch till the end to strengthen your understanding of this chapter. Let's begin.
The gold-legged frog. The sun blazed as if determined to crisp every living thing in the broad fields. Now and again the tall, straight, isolated sabang and payam trees let go of some of their dirty yellow leaves. He sank exhausted against a tree trunk with his dark blue shirt wet with sweat. The expanse around him expressed total dryness. He stared at the tufts of dull grass and bits of straw spun in a column to the sky. The whirlwind sucked up the brown earth into the air, casting a dark pall over everything. He was now anxious to get home. He could see the tips of bamboo thickets surrounding the house far ahead, looking like blades of grass. But he hesitated. A moment before reaching the shade of the tree he felt his ears buzz and his eyes blur and knew it meant giddiness and sunstroke. He looked at the soles of his feet blistered from the burning sandy ground and became indescribably angry with the weather capable of such endless torture. In the morning the cold had pierced his bones, but now it was so hot he felt his head would break into bits and pieces. As he remembered the biting cold of the morning, he thought again of his little son. That same morning he and two of his small children went out into the dry paddy fields near the house to look for frogs for the morning meal. The air was so chilly the two children on either side of him shivered as they stopped to look for frogs hiding in the cracks of the parched earth. Each time they saw two bright eyes in a deep crack, they would shout, "Pa, here's another one. Pa, this crack has two gold-legged ones. Hurry, Pa."
Now, let's move on to page 99 of your textbook. This section is about vocabulary. Some of the important words from the given excerpt are listed here. Your task is to write their synonyms, antonyms, and identify the part of speech for each word. Let's go through the words one by one and understand their meanings clearly. Let's now go through the vocabulary exercise, with answers from page 99. First word, isolated. The synonym is detached. The antonym is frequent. It is an adjective. Next word, exhausted. Synonyms include tired and drained. The antonym is energetic. This is also an adjective. Third word, anxious. Synonyms nervous and worried. The antonym is calm. It is an adjective. Fourth word, blur. Synonyms are smudge and haze. The antonym is clarity. It is a noun. Fifth word, giddiness. Synonyms include dizziness and vertigo. The antonym is steadiness. It is a noun. Next word, sunstroke. A synonym is heatstroke. The antonym is coldness. A noun. Seventh word, blistered. A synonym is swollen. The antonym is smooth. This is an adjective. Eighth word, pierced. The synonym is punctured. The antonym is sealed. Can be used as a verb or an adjective, depending on the sentence. Last word, chilly. Synonyms are cold and frosty. The antonym is warm. It is an adjective. Now, let's move on to the next activity. You are asked to use any 5 of the vocabulary words in your own sentences, keeping in mind their contextual meanings. Here are 5 example sentences. Number 1. Isolated. The boy sat under an isolated tree in the field, far away from everyone. Number 2. Exhausted. After walking in the sun, he felt exhausted and needed to rest. Number 3. Anxious. She was anxious to get home before the sun got too hot. Number 4. Blistered. His feet were blistered from walking barefoot on the hot, sandy ground. And number 5. Chilly. The morning was so chilly that the children started to shiver. These sentences help you understand how the word is used in real-life situations. Try making your own examples to practice even more. Let's move ahead to the next part of the chapter. Let's now go through the comprehension checkpoint from this chapter. Question 1. How is the sun described in the story? Answer. The sun is described as very hot and strong. It was blazing in the sky and seemed determined to burn everything in the fields. The heat made the boy sweat, and the land around him became completely dry. His shirt was wet with sweat, and his feet blisters from the hot, sandy ground. The sun made him feel tired, weak, and dizzy. It was so hot that it caused him to suffer from sunstroke. Question 2. Answer. The story describes two weather conditions, cold and hot. In the morning, it was chilly and cold enough that the children were shivering. But later, the weather changed and became extremely hot. The sun blazed in the sky, drying everything out. The ground became sandy and burned the boy's feet. The air felt dry and dusty, and the heat caused discomfort, showing how the weather quickly shifted from cold to burning hot in just a few hours. Let's continue with the next questions from the comprehension checkpoint. Question 3. Can you identify and describe the symptoms of sunstroke in your own words? Answer: yes. In the story, the boy felt very dizzy and weak. His ears started buzzing, and his vision became blurry. He knew something was wrong, and realized it was sunstroke. Sunstroke happens when the gets too hot from staying in the sun for too long. It can make someone feel confused, tired, and sick. Sometimes, can even cause headaches, fainting, or vomiting. It is a serious condition and needs care and rest. Question 4. Answer: dry paddy fields are rice fields that do not have water in them. Normally, rice is grown in wet or flooded fields, but in the story, the fields were dry because of the strong heat or lack of rain. The earth was cracked, hard, and dry. These dry paddy fields made it easier to see the frogs hiding in the cracks, which is why the father and his children went there to look for frogs for their meal. Now let's look at the final question in this comprehension section. Question 5. What kind of story is The Gold-Legged Frog? Answer: The Gold-Legged Frog is a realistic fiction story. It shows the real-life struggles of a man and his children living in a hot and dry environment. They are poor and rely on nature to find food, for example, frogs in the paddy fields. The story highlights challenges like extreme weather, poverty, and the importance of family care. It also teaches us how people learn to adjust to difficult conditions, and how they stay strong and hopeful, even in tough times. This story helps us understand the lives of those who face hardship every day, and reminds us of the value of resilience and family support. Let's move on to the next part of the chapter. Let's now move on to the next activity. Line up, now and again the tall, straight, isolated sabang and palm trees. Let go of some of their dirty yellow leaves. Explanation: from time to time the tall trees, standing alone in field, dropped some of their old yellow leaves. The leaves were dry and dirty because of the hot weather. This shows that the trees were not healthy, and the environment around them was dry and harsh. Line B. He sank exhausted against a tree trunk with his dark blue shirt wet with sweat. The expanse around him expressed total dryness. He stared at tufts of dull grass, and bits of straw spun in a column to the sky. Explanation: the man was extremely tired, and leaned against a tree to rest. His dark blue shirt was soaked with sweat because of the heat. Everything around him looked dry and lifeless. The grass was dull and not fresh, and pieces of dry straw were being lifted and spun into the air by the wind. This shows how hot, dry, and uncomfortable the surroundings had become. Let's continue with the next line from the story. Line C. In the morning the cold had pierced his bones, but now it was so hot he felt his head would break into bits and pieces. Explanation: in the morning, the cold was so strong that it felt like it was going deep into his bones. But later in the day, the weather changed completely. It became so hot that it felt like it was going to burst from the heat. This sentence shows the extreme change in weather, from freezing cold in the early morning to intense, burning heat in the afternoon. It also helps us understand how uncomfortable and harsh the environment was for the characters. These vivid descriptions help us imagine what the character is feeling and show how powerful nature can be. Let me know if you're ready for the next section. Now we are on page 101, and this activity is about grammar. Question 1 is to pick 3 present indefinite tense sentences from the story. Then in the next activity we have to change them into past indefinite tense. Let's continue to the next question when you're ready. Let's now go through the answers to the question on page 101. Question: pick 3 present indefinite sentences from the story. Here are the 3 examples. Sentence 1. Now and again the tall, straight, isolated sabang and palm trees let go of some of their dirty yellow leaves. This sentence shows a repeated action, which is a key use of present indefinite tense. Sentence 2. He stares at the tufts of dull grass, and bits of straw spun in a column to the sky. This describes what the character generally does in that moment, using the present indefinite form. Sentence 3. Each time they see the bright eyes in a deep crack, they shout. This sentence shows a habit or repeated reaction, which is also expressed in the present indefinite tense. These examples help us understand how the present indefinite tense is used to show repeated actions or general behavior. Let me know when you're ready for the next activity on this page. Tools. Let's move on to the next grammar task on page 101. Question 2. Change the following present indefinite sentences into past indefinite tense. Sentence 1. Original: now and again the tall, straight, isolated sabang and palm trees let go of some of their dirty yellow leaves. Change to past: now and again tall, straight, isolated sabang and palm trees let go of some of their dirty yellow leaves. Here, the word let stays the same in both present and past tenses, so the sentence structure doesn't change. Sentence 2 original, and it's changed to past. He stared at the tufts of dull grass and bits of straw spun in a clear sky. The verb stares changes to stared to show past action. Sentence 3 original, each time they see the bright eyes in a deep crack, they shout. Changed to past, each time they saw the bright eyes in a deep crack, they shouted. Here, both verbs, see and shout, are changed. Saw and shouted. Let me know if you're ready to continue to the next part. Now we move on to the next activity. Question 4. Read the story, The Gold-Legged Frog, again and highlight the figurative devices used in it. Put the words or phrases into the correct categories. Let's explore some examples from the story and place them in the relevant boxes. Let me know if you'd like to move on to the writing section or another exercise. Now let's look at the answers. 1. Imagery. His dark blue shirt wet with sweat. The ground was sandy and burned his feet. Cracks of the parched earth. These details create powerful pictures in our minds using the senses of sight and touch. 2. Illustration. He sank exhausted against a tree trunk. The whirlwind sucked up the brown earth into the air. 3. 4. These compare without using like or as, giving human-like or powerful qualities to objects. The sun blazed as if determined to crisp every living thing. Here, the sun is described as if it had an intention. The expanse around him expressed total dryness. 4. Simile. These use like or as to compare. The bamboo thickets, looking like blade grass. 5. Comparison and contrast. This is used to show a strong difference between two things. In the morning the cold had pierced his bones, but now it was so hot he felt his head would break. This line shows a clear contrast between morning cold and afternoon heat. Now we've reached the writing section of our lesson 102, given on the page. Let's learn how to write a narrative essay on the topic. In the next part, I'll guide you through a complete sample essay based on these steps. Let me know if you're ready. The title of the essay is A Day in the Life of Kareem. The effects of poverty. Poverty is when people do not have enough money to meet their basic needs like food, clean water, clothes, and a safe place to live. Many people in the world live in poverty, and it affects every part of their lives. This is the story of Kareem, a 12-year-old boy who lives in a village. Through his story, we can see how poverty hurts human life. Kareem wakes up early every morning, not to go to school, but to help his father collect wood from the forest to sell. His family is too poor to afford school fees, so Kareem cannot study. Sometimes, he wishes he could read and write like the other kids in his village, but he must support his family. He wears old, torn clothes, and eats only 2 meals a day, usually rice with salt or boiled potatoes. We will continue from the next page. Let's continue out essay A Day in the Life of Kareem, The Effects of Poverty. Because of poverty, Kareem often falls sick, but cannot go to the doctor. His parents cannot buy medicine. He feels weak, tired, and sad most of the time. When he sees other children playing and going to school, he feels left out. Poverty not only affects his body, but also he feels hopeless about the future and wonders if things will ever change. Even though life is hard, Kareem dreams of becoming a teacher one day so he can help poor children like himself. He believes that if he had the chance to study, his life would be different. Poverty has taken many things from Kareem, but it has not taken his hope. Kareem's story is just one of millions. Poverty affects people in many painful ways. It takes away food, health, education, and even happiness. We should care about the poor and try to help them, because everyone deserves a chance to live a better life. That's the end of the essay. I hope you found this video helpful and easy to understand. If you learned something new today, don't forget to like the video, share it with your classmates, subscribe to my channel for more educational content. See you in the next lesson.